Hey guys, Wheatywaffle here today, and we are back in City Skylines 2 playing our city of Second City. And if you have a keen eye, you'll be like, I've never seen this particular subway station before, and where is it going? It's the Green Line. This used to end in an industrial area. It did. It doesn't anymore. It now ends over here in Old City. But I didn't get rid of this industrial subway station. We do have a line that's also on this. It's now lime green. And you're probably thinking, I don't know where these lines came from because this was not how we had this set up before. And you would be right. I recorded an entire episode where I built out this place called Old City. And I just honestly wasn't in love with it. It wasn't kind of up to my expectations, and I just didn't feel like it fit correctly in the city. Don't worry though. I know some of you would love to see kind of what it was, and you can tell me your thoughts and opinions about it. I am going to upload the video, and by the time this video is out, it'll already be out. It's going to be called The Lost Episode. It'll be available to all my channel members, so you're welcome to check it out. But I didn't put it as a part of the main series because it wasn't going to stay. And so I didn't want to make a whole episode and then just delete the whole thing and you guys be like, why did we waste a whole week on something you're just going to delete? And I hear that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a step back from this coastline. Today is June 5th. And so by the time this video goes out, we will have an update. And in that update, we're going to have like a few keys and some things. And I think once we have key walls for real, we might be able to come up with a better way to do this area. So I don't want to mess with it just yet. We're going to walk away from kind of this South Second City area and do something that I've been meaning to do for a long time. And that is move is it called Blackwater? Yeah, move Blackwood Corner. This area here is an industrial area. It has been here for a long, long time. And I think it's time we move it as the city begins to expand. I want to start thinking about suburbs soon. And to do that, I need this ridiculous industrial sector so close to the downtown to get out of here. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to look at our natural resources. We have some natural resources right here along the edge of our cliff. So we don't have any of these tiles. We're going to have to buy them. So what I want to do is I want to move our ore industry over into this area. And I think for today, I think I want to work within this area right here. Let's see what it would cost if I just purchased these four, right? 666. And then I also need to get some roads and some things over to this area. And so to do that, I'm looking through here. I mean, we could take the roads here for now. It's going to add a ton of traffic, but it might be the quickest route. Or we could anarchy in some roads for the time being, and then we will figure out how it all connects together later. And maybe that's the better play. So I think for now, let's just purchase these four. It's going to cost us $688,000 up front, $65,000 a month. Go ahead and purchase that. And I think I may as well also purchase these two. While we're over here, I downloaded a mod that allows me to add in the different resources into the map. And I think what I'd like to do, if I can see here, we have this sliver right in the middle where there is nothing. So let's go ahead and add in some oil. We don't have any oil on the map, and I think that would be really useful as we build out a new industrial area. And now if we go to natural resources, we've got oil and we've got ore kind of next to each other. So let's go ahead and think about decommissioning all of Blackwood Corner. The problem we're going to run into is that some of these are a higher level, level 4, level 4, level 5, level 1. This never really upgraded. Level 5 and level 4. So we are going to lose these guys. But if I recall, these are not infinite resources that they're pulling from, and so these resources have depleted at this point. So what we're going to do is we're just going to come in here, and this is going to wreck jobs, right? Blackwood Corner has how many jobs right now? 2,670. So we at least need to bring back 2,670 jobs. For the time being, though, let's just start deleting what's here. Wow, there's an airplane. Okay, we're going to get rid of these roads. We're going to leave the main roads that are around this area. I would like to keep those. But we're going to get rid of most of the other stuff that's here. The one building that's not going to move is our dairy house. I placed this here forever ago, and there was someone who made a comment that, man, this dairy is going to be terrible because it's surrounded by pollution. Touche. So now, hopefully, over time, the ground pollution we see here will begin to go away, and it won't be as terrible of a place to get your dairy milk from. Okay, somehow we're making more money now that we got rid of all that. So let's go ahead. We're going to turn on anarchy really quickly, and we're going to bring out, I think, 2 things. I think I would like to send a highway over this direction. So let's start with our highway. And again, we're going to keep anarchy on for this. What we don't want is we don't want all the people having to work their way through the main roads here and then just cause a ton of unnecessary congestion. So let's go ahead, turn on our topography. Let's figure out how we're going to make this work. So we do have a pretty decent hill here. It's not too terrible. We come up this way. This is all hill as well. And then we cross over and we get into the mountainside. Now, this is going to have a ton of terraforming done to it. But I think I'd like to bring our highway in right about here. So why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's go ahead and lower the size of this to 100. And I'm going to start here. And I'm going to bring this down, I think, to this flat area. Okay, we're going to do parallel. Bring them a bit closer together here. And we're going to start about here. I don't actually want it to snap to that. So let's turn off this snap just for a moment. We're going to start this here. And then we got to figure out how we're going to do this. So I think we're going to do a continuous road tool. Bring this up and over this direction. We're at 7% increase. Not terrible. 4%. Right about here, we are going to need to start going uphill a bit. If I do it now, it's too soon. It's too soon. But if I start doing it a little bit here, right? We're only at 6.3. Now, the problem we're going to have is if I do anarchy, it does show, I don't care about the exceeding city limits, but it does show it's overlapping an object. If I raise it up again, we're still overlapping an object, which we don't want. So I have to raise it up 1 more time, 2 more times, 3 more times, 4 more times. Right here, it's no longer exceeding the city limits. Let me make sure I'm still in my line here. Now, my line really has gone that way. I guess I've kind of entered this slightly differently than I meant to, but that's okay. Right here's the height we need. So we're going to do this here. It's only 7% increase. So turn on anarchy now. We're going to leave it raised till we get to here. Turn anarchy off. Let's do this. Let's turn that off completely, and let's just see if anarchy is off, can this go over top? It can. I really want to go like this. I want to have a nicer curve than this. Okay, great. Exceed city limits. We can work with that. We'll place this here. Now we're going to start to come back down to the ground. Let's get back down to 0. And we're going to curve this direction. We are at very little change in height, which is fantastic. Come up to this direction here. I can't tell what the percentage is. 3.7. Not bad. And then I need to do a little bit more terraforming here because this does not look like it worked in the way we were hoping. Now, I can't guarantee that they're going to use this route because this route is, you know, not the most direct. We have some curves here, but I want to be mindful that I'm going to want to see a change in our suburbs. And I want to have this highway kind of winding through those suburbs and connecting from one area to the next. And to do that in the best way possible, we have to give it a little bit of a curve. Now, I am just going to undo what I just did here. Turn this guy back on. Let's get this to line up with this intersection. And let's just anarchy this right in here. If I come over to this point and then we connect it up. It's not feeling correct. Let's get rid of all this. And let's redo this curve as well. This is going to help out. This is going to help out. There we go. And then this can go Straight on over and in. Now, is this too much that's an elevated section? Not really. I mean, it crosses over here. It has to stay elevated there. I did have this raised for some reason, so it could have gone under, but I think what I'd like to do is just change out these two right here. Let's put these on key walls just so that there's a bit more of that infrastructure before we go raised. And then similarly here, let's put this section here on key walls as well so that we've got even more supports before the raised section. Okay, so there we go. We have that there. Connect that into there, and then this one we're going to connect kind of just like this and curve it in. Okay, so now we've got our highway. It continues straight along here. It comes down this way and does, in fact, connect into our main highway for the city. Eventually, I think we could consider an interchange of some kind that connects over here as well, and this could be kind of a sliver of land that has highways coursing through it, but for now, that will work for us. Let's then go over here, and let's make a really big brush and just smooth out the land around the highway where we messed it up. That way it looks a bit more intentional. That looks pretty nice. This curve is pretty intense. And they don't really even connect up in a straight manner here either. So let's, I know we just built that. Let's go ahead and just throw on key walls for both. Let's snap into here and let's snap right into here. Make that a straight line. That's a bit better. It's still a tight turn, but I think we'll survive. So now we have an access point to this area here. All right, now looking at the overlay of natural resources, we kind of have all of our oil on the left side, and then we have, all of our oil on the right side and all of our ore on the left side. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's start to do some terraforming for our ore area. The challenge we're going to have is I don't know if I'm allowed to have this open while I do this. I'm hoping I do. I do. Great. So right at this point, we are going to start to terraform. I am going to basically just make a huge cut into this. If you remember in the last season too, we started doing an ore industry and then the episode crashed and I lost all the recording. And so I had to just show you guys a completed ore network afterwards. So I'm excited that now you actually get to see this come together. And I'm just going to kind of wing it and we'll see how it goes. We have a lot of land here though that can be used for our ore industry. So what I'm thinking is we're just going to come in and make this huge cut into the land. Almost like we've been working on this area for ages. And the history of the Blackwood corner will just be moved over into here. Now, I also want to change our height here to maybe 70. Let's grab this height and let's start down here. And we are going to slowly work our way up and around. I wonder if what I should do is be doing it from this height. Hold on, let's rotate this. I want to get over to here. I want to start here. So we're going to go just like so. And in one swoop, I'm going to bring the land all the way over to here. And now that we have that, let's go ahead and just expand it a little bit so that we can then smooth out this connection point. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now I am going to grab this and we're going to have a secondary kind of area over here. What this is for, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But we'll have another guy over here. And then I want to have some type of switchback that goes back and forth through this area. So what I want to do is I want to grab this height somewhere along this line. So if I zoom in here, we've got a dark black line here. So I want to grab that and I want to place, whoops, back all that up. I want to place a landing point here. I'm actually going to do this at 150. Okay. Then if I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we'll grab this height. And we're going to place another landing point right here. Then we're going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there's our next point. We're going to place that, I think, right here. And then from there, we can bring it back down again. So now what we'll do, or, you know, no. I like the idea of having it here. That's pretty good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go from this point here at 70, which is going to be kind of our, you know, half of 150 since I can't do actual halves. Connect these two together like so. Let's do it from the top-down view. Connect from here. We'll go further back. And we'll put this line in right here. Connect from here to here. These are just going to be our switchbacks so that we have a way to get down here a little bit quicker into the pit, if you will. Now, I am going to use our soften terrain tool, but what I want to do is I want to reduce the brush strength down to like, I don't know, 25, and reduce this brush size even further, down to like 30 or so. Oh, I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Hold on, QWERTY. Where are we at, QWERTY? Okay. Bring this back up, bring this up, bring this up, bring this up. Then I want to use this much softer brush. And I'm going to go in and kind of soften these edges a little bit, give them a bit of a curve, soften the connection points here. There might be some gaps and some, you know, a deeper section in between the two. That's okay. Kind of think of it as like maybe a French drain almost, where like they intentionally left that there so that the water would go off of the road. So that looks pretty decent. We now have an area up here. What I want to do is I also want to kind of carve this a little bit further back. Let's make sure we're still working with, yeah, we still have some natural resource here. So I'm going to carve this into the mountain even further. And it's not going to be perfect. Like I want this to have a little bit of a bump to it. Go ahead and just like roughen the terrain. This is shift. I wish there was like a roughen tool because I do miss having that as an option. Or just like different kind of brushes even. Like that was so useful. I don't know why I'm harking on all these things we don't have. Let's talk about the positives. Okay, so adding in this little amount. This one's a little bit too large, so let's reduce that even further. That's as good of a rough as we're going to get right there. I'm sure I could do some different brush styles. Ooh, Mountain 1. What are these? Oh, okay, so we do have some brush styles. Okay, so then let's see if I can do this. If I were to do like a mountain brush and I were to like level the terrain with the mountain brush, oh, I can just kind of tap it down. Okay, so we've got a little area there. I got to still finesse that a bit. But now we have a clear idea of where one of our roads is going to go, and there's also going to be a switchback road here to get back up there. I then also want to take this even further. I want this to be deeper than this. So let's go back over here to our road here, our terraform tool here. Let's do shift, and let's bring it down even further here. And let's have another section here that goes all the way over to here. Okay, and now I'm going to increase the size of this brush and bring it over to here. Okay, beautiful. Beautiful! And I will say, this is one of those steps that might not be like the most exciting visually to watch, but when it comes together, it is so worth it. Like these kind of builds are so fun, especially because they're usually so massive, you know? All right, so smoothing that. Let's get a bit better of an angle on this here. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and bring it forward. Okay. Just like this. And maybe even flatten out like maybe a little square here. I don't know if we're going to need to be this large, but we're going to run with that. Then, for this one, I do want to have switchbacks as well, but I think these switchbacks are going to be along this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be right there. So if I were to go 1, 2, 3, 4, let's do this height here. I think I'm fine with that. I got to remember, we have to do this top down, because if we don't, then it all just looks crazy. Bring this down here. We're at 90, which is actually bigger than I had planned to go, but that's okay with me. Oops. Here to here. Okay. And we're going to go from here to here and bring this up to this direction. Beautiful. Oh, I love. Time to figure out the roads. I think I want to do a large road here. I know it's going to sound a little crazy that this would be a large road, but I think having just a straight road right here is going to be valuable. Then we're going to connect in both sides of our highway, which I'm actually thinking if we anarchy this on, and we do have a slight curve here, if we turn all this on, we can kind of connect right in like this and just get a nice central connection there. Happy with that. So there's our initial entrance. Now what we want to do is I want to have a road that's going to go all the way along the side here. And it needs to actually be two separate roads. We're going to have one that goes up and around and then one that goes over this way and up and over. But the more I'm seeing that, the more I'm realizing like this one here might not actually be worth anything. So you know what? I'm actually going to come back over here and we're going to do this. We are going to smooth this particular section out with the rest of the mountain. See how that works. We still carved in, and there are still areas that need some touch-ups, but I think if we were to reduce the size of this pretty substantially, we could make this look less jarring. There's just like a little bit of a... There we go. See that little lip? I want to get rid of that little lipped edge, because that is what looks, I think, a little crazy. I'm really cutting into my land area for our switchback, but that's okay. Okay. So let's turn everything off. We can even turn anarchy off for this because we don't need anarchy on at this moment. We're going to have a road that comes right along here. 2-lane road. Moving right on through. Let's do continuous. Let's go ahead and start curving around this bend here. Nice sweeping curves. Send it straight on up. We have the world's longest little switchback, which I love. Very happy with that. Now we need a secondary switchback over here. And what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to, just to bring a little interest to this area, I think I want to raise this up. Make this into a bridge. It needs to be what? 8.5 to cross over? But what if we had a bridge that crossed over just like this? It curved right back on down and went this direction. We'll go back to continuous. And we'll turn everything else off. Let's keep connections though so I can keep things lined up correctly. But this is then going to come down this way, come over to here. Because what I want to do is I do want to create multiple industries in here, all doing the same thing, but just get the most use out of this as possible. Now that we have all that though, we can clearly see where we need to smooth things out. So we're going to bring the smooth pretty aggressively up to where the other road is. Okay, so I went through, I did some smoothing all around. The switchbacks look pretty good. There is some clipping this high up when you look at where the road meets the slopes, but all around it doesn't look too bad. I did switch this section here of whatever this road is, Elm Street, so that it has a median in the middle. That way it's clearly separated. When you come in, you go left or right, and when you leave, you go left or right, but that way it's a little bit cleaner there. I do want to change this one road to make sure it is flat on the ground. There is no world in which they would have built a key wall around that, especially for this area. I almost want to do the same with this one. Put that flat on the ground. We just have this bridge, and I know this bridge is probably not realistic in any sense, but I don't know. It's something different. Kind of just caps this area, makes it look a little bit nicer. All right, now let's figure out the industry. We need specialized industry, and we're gonna do ore mining. We can do ore and coal. I'm not gonna worry about doing rock over here just yet because we don't really need the rock. Somehow, without these industries, our money though is like flying through the roof. Now, production wise, actually I said we don't need rock, but we do. We need rocks, we need coal, we need metal ore. We need all of it. And we need oil, which we haven't even done the oil section yet. But that, I think, is going to be a little bit different in its setup. So, let's start with oil, or with coal. I'm going to place the coal plant right here. And this coal plant is going to go all the way up and around along the side of this road. We're going to go straight up and around this corner here, turn all of this off, bring it down this end here, turn all this back on. Come on, we can do it. There we go. So there's our first. Well, that doesn't look great. That actually looks, frankly, quite terrible. Turn all this back off. Let's do this. I think the shadows are just casting too much of an intensity on the rest of this. If I were to take this and flatten it out a little bit, can I smooth that out a bit softer so that it looks nicer? That seems to work. All right, that looks a little bit better. So now we've got this large cliffside here. Now we are going to need some connectivity, which we're going to get to in a second, so just hold on tight. There's one. We should probably do another one. I'm thinking we'll do a second coal plant right here. Let's get a transformer station in this area. There's a lot of demand for power over here, and we need to meet it. I would say we could consider sliding this in somewhere, but I've really not left myself space, have I? Let's change this around. If we move this back, and we move this back to here, we may be able to fit it right in here. Oh my gosh, we can. That's amazing. Okay. Grab this. We got to move it a little bit further. It's a bit too close. Does that free me up there? It does. It does. So bring this straight on out here to the 180. Bam. Let's turn on anarchy. And I don't mind if these kind of just follow along and head in wherever they can, you know? Now we do have an opportunity to connect up right to here, which I think we're going to take. I know we built that with anarchy, but that's okay. All right, so now they have power. Now we need water. We need water. Now this, we will keep this underneath of our highway. We'll even do continuous for this. Let's turn all of this off now that we've connected and just snap right up and in. Great. So now we do, in fact, have some industry working over here. Now, this is going to need a district before we're able to see any metrics. So let's go ahead and grab our district tool and surround the mine. It's partially why I wanted to have this type of cliff area, because I wanted to have a very clear mine space. So let's go ahead and do this. Bring this back. And it would be wrong of us not to name this Blackwood Mines. So Blackwood Mines currently has 81 employees. Not very many. Not very many. But we're going to add some oil next door, and that may help us as well. So let's go ahead and grab our sloping tool. And let's get a nice curving slope over to here, rough abouts. Oh, I'm doing that wrong. Over to here in this section. We're going to bring this around. What am I doing wrong? Oh my word. From here to here. There we go. Man. Sometimes I wonder if I know how to play this game. Alright, give that a little bit of a smooth. That's fine. Now we have this 4-lane, which we're going to then just extend from here. Anarchy can go off. Bring this around this way. And then I think we're just going to bring it up and over. You know what? I'm going to bring it straight up like this. Let's look at this topography, but I think I'm fine with this. Here is where this is then going to cross over this direction and cut up and into the mountain a little bit. Straight. Okay. Here we'll follow the typography and just kind of stick within that realm there. It gives us a space here. We can potentially do something behind here. Okay, I do want to maybe add a little bit more. So what if, oh, I meant to curve that. What if we were to curve like so and send this over? And just start kind of branching out a bit. Okay, now right here, I know this is all a slope, but we do have some decent buildable land right behind here. So I think what we do is we build out just a little bit of a kind of working area. And we could pretend that maybe this is where people live, or that there's just some small processing buildings that popped up nearby to all of this ore work. Here we got to do our oil. So let's go ahead and place down a few more of these specialized industries. So, all right, this area here is actually out of the oil. So let's do this. Let's send a road out and up like so, which will then go straight along here and cut across at a 180. It's a lot of hill, right? You got to drive up a decent hill to get over here, but we're going to tap into as much oil as we can. So we're going to place one oil guy here. There's 5 oil industries kind of laid out there on that hillside. It pushes it far back. You can still see it from the heart of the city. So you know this is still a part of us, but it's not nearly as close as it was before. All along here could absolutely be some regular industry. So let's go ahead and just grab this and just do a lick of regular industry here as well as along this end. All along here, again, this is flat enough for me. Give this a lick of regular industry. All of this here will absolutely have regular industry. All of this regular industry as well as back here. This area here I think we're going to leave alone, but in the center we will place regular industry as well as along this edge here. This area here we're going to need some regular industry, but we're also going to need some fire. So let's not do anything there. And then right here we'll place a lick of industry kind of along both ends there. All around, I think this is going to provide way, way, way more jobs for our citizens. It's out of the way, for sure, but I think we can figure out what to do about that in post. So let's go ahead and just kind of surround our oil rigs loosely. So that this general area is set up for this type of usage. Plenty of open jobs in industry. That's right. Plenty of open jobs in industry. Do we ever say that in this town? No, we do not. All right, right now we've got 1,009. Now, let's do a few things to do some maintenance. We absolutely need a firehouse. I think a USA small firehouse would work out here perfectly. I'm going to also say we want to have some type of police. A small police station would work just fine. We could place it right here before you enter into the area. It's kind of like your checkpoint, like, hey, you're about to enter into this space. There are cops. Get ready. I wouldn't mind to have some, like, parking. The problem I have is I don't think any of this is going to fit. Actually, hold on. That parking lot fits fine. So we're going to place that parking lot right there. I don't want any over there. We could force this in here. It's going to mean that I need to do just a little bit more smoothing, but I'm okay with that. If we reduce the size of this and just bring this from here straight on back, smooth it back out again. There is a little bit of additional parking there as well. And then right here desperately needs to be smooth. That looks all kinds of crazy. Let's flatten this area. Give that a smooth. Beautiful, beautiful. And now what we're going to do is, as these industries zone in, I now need to go through and make some adjustments. So, one, get rid of the trees that are in here. We don't want any of these trees. Get rid of these trees here. All this looks pretty good. And I like that we've got this kind of sandy texture. This, I will extend the grass all the way along these edges so that we have full grass coverage in this little section. Because this looks pretty nice right here on this corner. The spacing isn't ideal. And I do actually think, now that I see this, I can't live this way. This absolutely needs to have a key wall along that side so that we can then come in behind it and flatten out this area. Let's reduce this. Let's grab this height here and just go in here like this. Flatten that out. I think similarly, some of these walls or some of these roads we will key wall just to allow us to set this up how we think looks best. Right here I could do without. So we have a lot of manufacturing buildings kind of all together here. And what I want to do is I want to try to use pathways and those types of things to make this look as if this is, these are alleyways. So if I were to bring this forward, we can go just like this. If I were to bring this forward, we could go just like this and then come down to here. Maybe we drag another alleyway right back here. Gives us another spot to work with. We do have some crazy heights here, which I don't love. So I think what I need to do is kind of fine-tune how we're doing our zoning in this section. I think we need to back it up so it's not as abrupt. That area there is zoned in nicely. Okay. Right here, I do wonder. I know that technically this takes up the whole section, but am I allowed to anarchy in a little park? Can it be covered parkette? No. Not without ruining this building, but what does that do for the zoning here? It does mean I have this open spot, but let's just see. Any 2x2 park that wants to fit right in there? We'll let it become a different building. That's fine. So now we've got these buildings here. We've got all this foliage behind here. Those are still zoning in. On this side, I think there's no reason there shouldn't be an alleyway connecting these two roads. Let's come over here. It can be a one-way for all I care. We can turn anarchy off for this. But there should be an alleyway that goes straight on out and over. It's going to mess some things up, and that's just going to have to be. And then I think in this section here, we do some more of these, all this like really overgrown foliage. Really dense, not manicured well or maintained in any sense. Now over here, we have this fence that goes all the way around, which I don't want the fence. I want to get rid of all the fence. There we go. So now the fence is gone. We can change some of this surface and just try to make some of this work a little bit better. I guess having no fence does also mean that having this like sub element doesn't make any sense, nor this. Like we can just get rid of all of that. Let's go back over here. We'll extend, you know what, we're not going to extend. We're going to use pavement number 2, I think. And just go up and over here to fill in this area. And we'll bring this out a little bit so it hides itself. There we go. So that's now built in there. These buildings are all zoning in. This looks nice. Over here looks okay. Although I could see a benefit to having some type of wraparound key here. Maybe it comes off of this, or maybe it's just separate so that we can level out this area behind it. So what if I grab the alleyway, we place a key wall on it, we go from here to here, just like so. I think the key wall needs to be on the other side. Yes. Yes. Okay. Raise this up to here. I don't think that's going to mess anything up. Doesn't look like it did. Bring this back down to the ground. Come on straight out to here. Bam. And then we're going to use move it. And I'm going to get these all to the same height. This height. Bam. Makes this end piece look a little strange. Ooh. The delivery alley for these buildings, but it just has a terrible turnaround there. Now, the reason we're doing that, one, I want to fill all this with the same kind of aggressive foliage. There we go. So that's all there now. Beautiful. And it gives us this section. So what I want to do, I'm really committed to trying to see if I can fit just even a little bit more parking in here. And I wonder if that parking can go right here. If we were to do this and just to kind of smooth this all out, I could even take this further. This could come back to here, and then we smooth it out. Like that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Get rid of these trees. What we want to do is we want to take this road, and we want to go straight on up. Do not give it any type of really anything. I just want to have the angle, snap to angle, send this to here, and then at this point, we're going to send a parking road. Actually, here's how we're going to do this. Let's start off with an alley. Send the alley straight up and straight over to here. Okay? Then, parking roads. We're going to grab the alley parking road one way, and we're going to come straight up to here. I think right here needs to be another alley. Right here. That then somehow connects kind of right into there. It means that this little extra piece is useless, and that's okay. We then do, boom, parking road. I want to fit this in here exactly as I planned, which would mean I gotta do it without any snap twos. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So now we have this extra overflow parking lot here in the back. I think that all of this would absolutely have... all of this would absolutely be covered in asphalt. No question. I even think that section could be covered in asphalt and we would be able to get away with it. But for the moment, let's just do this, and then I'm going to bring this out to this point, and then I want to snap this at the 180 down to here. Bam. We can get rid of this, and we can bring this to snap that to 90. So now we have a nice, clean, squared off edge there. That's perfect. Okay. So now we have additional parking here in the back. I do think we need a bit more of this obnoxious foliage approach we're taking. Let's go ahead and do a bunch of those. Slap on Anarchy and just hide some of these curves, some of these hills and cliffs. So now we've got a really nice little section there. All along here, I'm happy with this. I do want to consider, for the sake of the people, I'd love to kind of hide a little bit of this. But I think this area could all be built out as additional industrial in the future. But let's reduce this down to 80. Let's start with our oaks as always. And we're just going to put, with Anarchy, we're going to put a little bit of a ring of trees kind of around this area. But I got to be mindful because since I have Anarchy turned on, I don't want to put the trees like in the buildings. That is not the goal. It's a little bit of coverage, nothing crazy, but it gives us a little purpose there. This all looks nice. Now we got to address this block because these guys look pretty decent. So I think for this front section here and really everything here, all of this is just going to get one color surface. So what I want to do is I want to go into a remove surfaces tool. I just want to delete all of the surfaces that are already here. See what we can find. Luckily, with the way this tool is set up, there's no other things that can be deleted. So I don't have to worry about any of that. All right. All of that is going to be its own surface. So now, if I were to come in here and grab pavement surface 1, snap it right over here into the corner, turn off Anarchy. How does the helicopter follow me everywhere? Every episode, guys. It's everywhere. There we go. So all that's one surface now. This section, I'm going to get rid of this surface, but then we will use this surface to fill in this whole area. Just kind of keep it all consistent. This can go to here, and then this can go to here. So now we've got those surfaces. We have this little section left, and I will say, I know we're in an industrial area, but having a place to just sit for a second is going to be important. It's valuable even if you're at work in an industrial park. So let's go ahead and just give this a nice, beautiful park here. I wonder if, can I drag this and move it to here? It's not perfectly connected anymore, but it looks fine to me. Let's anarchy over here to grab this particular point of this surface. Just bring that all down. Behind here, let's do some individual tree placements. We'll do 2 oaks. We'll do one of those hickories. We'll do one of those. And then we'll come here and grab a few small birches as well, just to fill that in, but give you a little bit of a scenic wall. And then I don't think there's anything else that needs to go there per se. We could do some small little pieces here and there, but I don't know if it's necessary. All of this is looking pretty good. I mean, it's a hillside covered with oil rigs. I'm tempted to say, let's also do one additional cut into this area. Really what I want is I want to level this area out. And so I think how we do that is like this. Let's go ahead and add a retaining wall. All along here, all along here. What I want is to flatten this out. So let's just try to do that. I want this height here, and I want to come in here and I want to flatten this out all the way up to here and see what's possible. Unfortunately, that retaining wall is far too high. So the best we would be able to do is to flatten it out right to here, which is really right to here. Which is really right to here. Okay, so this height does work. So let's use this height for this section. Bring this over to here. Bring it over to here. Keep this all nice and flat. We do go down, which means that we're going to want to change this section of road. But before we do, let's figure out where our intersection is. I mean, I think right here is the clearest intersection. So let's go ahead and connect right on in. Turn off this retaining wall. Turn everything off, frankly. And let's just go straight on out. Just like so. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. Both sides, we'll do little roundabouts so you can turn around. And then I think I want to actually pause real quick and change this whole connection that we have. I would like to smooth out this area, recognizing now all of this is going to be smoothed. This is all a massive hill now. That's totally fine. That looks pretty good. We want to change this area here so that we have a key wall instead of a retaining wall. And now the halves make sense. And we have a whole new section that we can zone some additional industry. And put in a parking lot, which is really what I want to have right here. So get rid of that. Let's get the biggest parking lot we can fit comfortably right here, ideally without anarchy. That works. This works and it's covered, but that's not exactly what I was hoping for. I would love this, but everything from there on is too big. So let's go ahead and do this parking lot here, right? Gives us a very, very clean, nice parking space. We'll turn the road over, but just kind of let it dead end there. That's fine. And then we're going to take these surfaces and just send them all the way through and under into the preceding road. Seeing that little strange bit, let's do this. So it feels kind of complete. Now, right here, I like that we have these here, but I do think I want to change them some. I think if we just replace them, that looks a bit nicer. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay. Now we've got this little area here. Let's place a bit more industry because you know we need it. I would like it all facing the same way though, which means that this little section is going to get a retaining wall. And now all of that can be more business. All right, let's see. Blackwood Mines now has 1,773 employees. And if you remember, most of the businesses we had were level 5s. So it's going to take some time for us to reach kind of the same level of employment as we had in our other area of our build. Let's do this, though. Let's go ahead and grab here and just send out 2 additional rungs of road so that we can do a little bit more zoning there. I didn't realize I had anarchy on for this, so now I've got trees in the way. Let's use our tree brush for this. Just clear that out. Whoopsie. I do think, though, around here, I would love to see just a little bit more tree coverage. So I'm going to lean heavily on the oak and get us a nice kind of wall of trees right here, which I think is needed. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like, look how dense that is. That's perfect. Okay. And I kind of wanted to give this... Ooh, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to give this one pass with just a really obnoxiously dense tree brush and see what happens. Keep that anarchy on and just go whoop. It's going to delete a bunch in its wake, but at the end, it is going to be fuller, which is kind of what we're hoping for. Over here, I'm happy with the development. I think this works, and I think we cascade up the side of the mountain in a nice way. We did have some additional need for oil. I am curious. I mean, technically, we could consider one more guy right along here. If I was to go like this and just go, the slope is too steep. That's not going to happen. We could take it out a little bit further. Let's place one more of these guys right here. This is going to be kind of the one that caps it all off. So let's turn off all of our snap twos and work our way around this little edge. Then turn our snap twos back off and use this second to lightest color as our defining edge. Can we make this happen? Can I bring it to here and then back? We can. All right, there we go. So now we have just like this mountainside oil industry. You would imagine they bring it down here to process it, and it goes into these buildings for processing. We've got parking. We've got police. We've got fire. We have a park, a little park, but a park nonetheless. You know, I tried to delete, but I had the wrong thing on. I don't love this building here, so I do think that is going to go. I don't think we need it. I don't mind these here. I also don't love these buildings here, and I think there's a better way for us to do this. So let's do this. Get rid of this zoning. Get rid of these buildings. And I think what we do instead is we add in a road right along the edge of that building there. Let's limit any zoning along here, so you have to do your zoning along this road. I think the Japanese buildings work really nicely for this. I just think they look really good in this kind of context. So we're going to keep using those. All right, so rework this a little bit. Just added in some trees. I do feel like we could probably actually even take it just a little bit further and just have like 1 or 2 that spill over as a way to be like, and they're starting to go down the side of the hill, but then that's it. Like they only worked because it was flat land here. That kind of works for me. I like that. Let's let these 2 buildings zone in. They're the Japanese style. I think they're going to look really nice there. This area here looks good, similar to what we did over here, because we're not going to be over here a lot. So I don't need it to look super, super detailed, but I would like to have a little bit of continuity. I think I am going to place even more foliage. This is the most heavily foliaged industrial area you've probably ever seen. But in my mind, like I said, these are going to be areas that are really hard to maintain. Nobody's contracted to do this work. It's just like this empty area between two buildings. So these are weeds and big bushes that just have grown in. Nobody messes with it. I bet you it's littered with trash. Luckily for us, the game makes it look nice. But there we go. That looks pretty decent. And I like this like kind of S bend there we have. That looks pretty good. No one's parked over here yet, but that's okay. All right, where are we at now? We've kind of reworked some of this. Where is Blackwood Mines with jobs? 2,098. All right, so we are beginning to replace, the critical mass of jobs we lost from the last section. We've opened up this whole area, and now in the distance you can clearly see that there is some industrial, but it's not connected directly to the city. Now, one thing that's going to be, I would argue, a significant challenge in this build is going to be our connection to our trains. If we look, this is all a hill, and there's just no way that is going to be able to work. We could try to figure out a way to send it over this direction up and maybe here. Let's see. If I were to take a train line curved from here down to here, it's 8.9. There's just no way. There is just no way. That's 6.2. We do not want to be above 5, if at all possible. If I connected to here and started going like this, 7, 8. Over here we can get to 5. But what does that do for me? I don't think it does much of anything. But this is where that train goes. It doesn't go anywhere else. If I were to go something crazy like that, what does that do? Still, that's 7.9. It's not getting better. So what I could think of that we do instead is maybe right here where it's flat, we have a train that essentially cuts off like this, and there's a cargo trains terminal right here. We place a cargo train terminal here, right? We're going to ignore whatever caused that issue. Pretend you didn't see that. I don't have time today for mods not working. I'm having a good one, and we're going to keep it like that. Keep the good times rolling. All right. Loosely smooth this area out. Nothing crazy. It was already pretty flat to begin with. What I want to do is I want to create a almost like a roundabout per se. Not roundabout. An option for this to go two different directions. Oh, I know why. We don't own this tile of land. We're making money. Let's purchase them. Screw it. Let's purchase them. That's what was happening. I don't own this land, so it was just upset because this is not my space. Okay. What I think I want to do, send this out straight 180. Can we get one that curves over this way? If I were to go from here over to maybe here to here, essentially we want to go from here over to here, right? And then we're going to kind of split this into two. I want to have one that goes this direction, and then I want to have one that goes this direction, which that actually worked just fine. But so now we have an additional opportunity to deliver more cargo. Now, we are going to have to get people off this highway to get here. This is going to have its own separate private highway exit. But I think that's what we have to have here. We'll send this back. We will give this a roundabout. We'll make sure we have enough space for that. And I think, too, we'll send a road over here to here. I have an idea of how we can make this kind of look decent. Yeah, I think we can do something here. I think we could have a parking lot here instead of this. Let's bring this over. Here's what I want to see. Can I place a parking lot here And it doesn't need to ever be used, frankly. Like, I truly do not need it to ever be used. But I would like to have one large parking lot right here along the edge. Right? Right? And then maybe behind here, can we fit the large radio tower? We can. Telecom tower. This is the big guy. There's not really great coverage over here yet. Place this here. Let's get a little tiny path right along the edge. For the moment, send it further out than we need, and then you can get rid of that little piece. Let's do a complex curve over to here, and then go straight on out. There we go. There we go. And then I think there's more detailing we can do there for sure. And maybe I'll do that in a detailers episode. I don't think we're going to do that right now. But now what we have to do is we have to get on kind of both directions of this highway. And I think I'm going to keep that relatively simple. We are going to have to do all this with Anarchy because I don't have access to some of this land. And I'm not going to buy it just for this because, again, this is going to be, frankly, so minor that we don't really need to get crazy with it. Just a small connection, but that way we have access to this area now. Now we should be able to just connect these two guys together, and I would say we could take it off of this end here. Let's give it a little curve even. Go like this, bam. Now they're gonna have access to sewage and all of that, perfect. This still needs power, and I could see the power coming along the edge of the train line, connecting here and going up. Let's turn on Anarchy. Let's do this. Let's actually do it this way. Yes, there we go. Okay. Look at that. Another death wave. Gonna ignore it. I don't think we've ever actually solved what's causing these death waves. If I go and look at population decline, citizens death, and we zoom out, as you can see, there are clearly little waves of death that just get worse and worse and worse and worse with time. Okay. This is pretty good. Now we do need a way to get over here. Extra track increases capacity for more trains. Yes. Yes. We're going to increase capacity because this is going to have two different connections. I know both of these are double tracks. I'm fine with that. And then this is a storage warehouse, which, you know what? We're in the burbs here, in the middle of nowhere. I want to make this a robust complex that's going to allow us to have really, really strong usage of this. So let's add 2 additional warehouses and then figure out our cargo lines. So this cargo line is going to go from here all the way out here to Wells, and then it's going to come back again. Bam. This cargo line is going to come from here and go all the way over to Brightwater Locomotive. Actually, what if we were to change one of our current transportation lines? If I go into cargo train, we have 3. We have cargo port terminal route, wow, I can't even spell. External cargo routes. And then we have cargo route 3. I almost want to change this. I think I want to get rid of cargo route 3 that we just placed. Instead, make this a much brighter brown so we can easily see it. And then let's make this one, which is our internal one, because it goes over to the ocean, let's make it more like an oceany blue color. There we go. So now let's mess with both of these two lines. What if we were to take this external line and on its way out of the city, it stopped here? Why am I feeling like I can't edit? Because that's passenger. This is cargo. That would make a whole lot of sense. Let's drag this into here. So it's going to also stop here and then continue on its way. Then this blue line on its way back down, before it heads over there, this blue line is going to... no, it's not going to go back and forth. We're going to have a third line. We will have one more cargo line. This cargo line is going to come from externally over here to Brightwater Locomotive and then go back again. So here's what I'm thinking. And you guys, I'm not great with cargo. This is the one area where I'm learning how to do this. So you tell me if you think I should set this up differently. But here's my thought process. Let's just make this a different color. Make it like a foresty green or something. Actually, let's make it more like a gray kind of... slightly blue-gray color because it's connected to ore, rocks, oil, all of that. Okay, so we have cargo port terminal route, and then we have Blackwood cargo interchange. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's edit this external line. Come over here. We've got a few different lines here, which I don't want all these lines. I want to bring up this here, cargo, but I want to get rid of this one and I want to get rid of this one. I just want to mess with this line here. Okay, so we now have the Blackwood cargo terminal. This receives only two lines. It receives the external cargo route, which is going to move goods internally and externally, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Everything we produce is going to leave here and go straight on over out to Wells, which is our neighboring city. Then Blackwood cargo interchange is going to take all the goods that are here and it's going to move them over to our Brightwater locomotive. So it's just going from external connection all the way over into Brightwater, dropping things off here to this cargo hub, or industrial hub. And then we have the cargo port terminal route, which just takes things from Brightwater locomotive all the way down over here to Keats Industrial Park. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I don't know if I should just have one route that goes from Wells to here, to here, to here. But I wanted a way to get the cars to come off of the highway, drop their goods off here to then take them out further. Let's see, for example, you have 270 tons of cargo. This has 521 tons of cargo already stored in it. So there's more work that needs to be done here for sure. But I think now we're starting to get some infrastructure that is going to make for some unique builds as we begin to figure out the rest of these suburbs. Now, I will say it's going to take time for this ground pollution to dissipate. This has been polluted the entire time we've been here, but I'm hopeful that the ground pollution and this aquifer will both start to be less polluted in time. We'll see. All right. I think this looks pretty good. Where are we at on jobs? 1,984. I feel as though... Is that an improvement? I thought we got over 2,000 for a second. Maybe we did. Maybe we didn't. All right, so I think that's where we're going to leave this part here. We were able to move our Blackwood our Blackwood corner and make it into this Blackwood kind of mining industry here. There's still some detailing work I'm sure we could do. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea of how I could improve some of these switchbacks and make this green area just like less prominent. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I don't know what to do. I don't like how any of the surfaces look when they're on the cliff walls, and so it makes this area a little bit challenging if I am being honest. And I will say though, this section here looks nice. Like that looks like a decent industrial area with with the oil fields behind it. It just looks great. All right, we've got this new highway that connects us over here into our Blackwood cargo terminal. We've expanded our internet connectivity with this new telecom tower, which is also awesome. And I think in a detailers episode, we'll try to make this look just a little bit nicer. I'm sure there's more we could do there. And then we changed out the cargo terminals a bit and have opened up all of this area for additional expansion. All right, guys, I think that's where we're going to end this part here. A quick shout out to my channel members. Thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, click the link in the description below to unlock custom emojis, loyalty badges, early access to videos, save game files, members-only content, merchandise discounts, and more. And until next time, leave your questions, comments, and feedback down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.